Hello, I'm Chris, and today I'm going to show you how I made this TrackSaw guide system, like the one from Craig Tools. The cost is cheap, about $20 if you have some scrap wood laying around. I think this is a must-have tool, and one of the best things about it is it doesn't break the bank. My work area is too small to work with large sheets of wood, so I usually have to cut them down into more manageable sizes so that I can work with them on my saws. This is the best way I found to do it. Problem is, my cuts aren't always accurate. So I always have to square up my work, or I have to cut it a little extra long so that I can later cut it down just in case I didn't get it square. But this solves that for me. For this project, all you need is a little bit of 1/4-inch hardboard and a 50-inch edge guide from Harbor Freight. The cost is only $14.99 with a coupon, and I'll put a link to the coupon down in the description. Or if you email me, I'll be glad to send it to you. It's good for a couple more months, so you should have no problem getting it. This is a 50-inch edge guide from Harbor Freight. I've seen people make a edge guide from a piece of plywood, 1/4-inch, and that's fine for some people, but in my case, I need something that doesn't take a lot of space. It doesn't matter if it's exposed to moisture, humidity, and I can use it for more than one thing. And this does it for me. Well, I hope you like this video, and that's all for now, so we'll see you at the end. The first thing I'm going to do is cut down a piece of hardboard to the rough dimensions of the base of my saw. Next, I need to cut a rough length and cut some small 1-inch pieces off of that. It'll take about 4. I'll be using these 1-inch pieces as spacers for the front, the back, and the side of the saw base. This will keep the saw from moving around from side to side or front to back. Now I'll glue these in place, again front and back, and one on the side. Next, I'm going to glue another piece on top of the piece that I just put down on the front edge. This is going to serve as a clamp to the front of the saw base. This hardboard is fairly inexpensive, about $5.99 for a 3x4 piece at my local hardware store. Now I had a square or a rectangle piece of plastic. I drilled a hole in it, and I'm going to use this little metal insert. I'm going to put that down into the wood. That way I have threads that I can screw a machine screw in instead of a wood screw. That way I can take it on and off repeatedly, and I won't damage the wood or ruin the threads. I'll put a link to these little inserts in the description below if you want to get some. They come in handy for projects like this, and I've started using them on a lot of things, and I really like them. So now I'll just use this little plastic to lock the back of the saw into the base. I'm going to plunge the saw through the base just to get my length, or width I should say. and I'll cut that excess off on my table saw. Now I'm going to take a piece of scrap MDF and I'm going to cut it again to the length of the base, and I'm going to just cut it in half to start with. And after I cut it in half, I'll set that one half aside, and the other half I'm going to cut it down to 1 inch exactly. That is going to be the piece that I use for my measurement from the left side of the blade to the guide rail. I'm going to screw that down in place, and now every time I make a measurement, I'll just add 1 inch to that measurement, and it'll always come out the exact length that I want. This is the most important step. Make it 1 inch or some other number, centimeter, or whatever it is that you use for measurements. That way you'll have a consistent number to subtract, or I should say add, to the length of your cut. Now I'm just taking the remaining piece that I had cut off the other piece before, and I'm just butting that up against the side of the track or guide that I bought. And I'm using a piece of paper just to give it a little space so it'll slide easily but still be tight. Now I'm going to take my palm sander and run it over all the edges, and in the front and the rear I'm going to taper those quite a bit, and you'll see there I've made kind of a ramp, and that's so that if I hit something while I'm sliding my saw, it'll just glide right across it, and you won't get hung up while you're cutting and mess up your cut. Now also I'm going to clean off some of the glue, and here I'm just taking a 1.5 inch spacer block, I'll call it, and setting my guide to that. That will allow me to cut off exactly 1/2 inch. Now this demonstration is on OSB and it is super messy, so it's going to make quite a show here in just a second when I cut it. I just added 15 minutes to cleaning up the floor of my shop. I just saved a bunch of time, but I just made a big mess. Now I'll paint it. Mainly I'm going to paint it just to prevent it from taking in moisture and things like that, and I like the color too. I'm going to paint the bottom, of course, black also, just to seal it off, and I hope you enjoyed this. To the end. And as always, I try to build things or show you how to make things that will save you money and time, and at the same time I want to inspire you to build things. With that said, be sure to subscribe, like, and click the bell so you'll be notified about the next video. Also, share this on your social media so all your friends can enjoy it too. Well, that's all for today, and I'll see you back here soon for a new video.